right, I just did a Substack on why I don't have a favorite movie. I often get asked in public what my favorite movie is, and as an introvert, I often blank on that, or I feel pretentious saying whatever the answer is. But I think it's more fun to talk about what I think the worst movie I've ever experienced is, maybe the worst movie experience I've ever had. I know those are two different things, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now. First, I do want to know your story. What's your worst movie experience ever? And this could be a date gone wrong, meeting the in-laws type of thing. Let us know in the comments. Now, this isn't the worst movie I've ever seen, although in my mind it's pretty close to that. But this goes back to my college days when I was working for the student newspaper at my university. I was writing op-eds for this university, and it turned out our university sent us to some kind of national college journalism conference in Seattle, Washington. And this had to be in 2001, probably 2002, because there, they screened two movies for us, advanced movies, and they brought in people to talk about those movies, including A Mighty Wind. Christopher Guest, I remember him showing us A Mighty Wind and him having a Q&A session afterwards. And I must say that film fell pretty flat with all of us, I think most of us at least, because it was kind of a boomer movie about NPR, PBS, folk music festivals. It's kind of a movie more for oldsters. I get it better today. But as a 19-year-old, I didn't really get much of the humor about it. I didn't understand folk music that well, so it kind of fell flat. Kind of the wrong place for such a movie. But here's the worst movie experience. I remember them shuttling us in a bus to a far-off location somewhere in Midtown Seattle. We're in downtown Seattle, staying there, and they were going to show us a movie. And it was a movie by a director named Gus Van Sant. And of course, at this time, Van Sant was pretty well known. I mean, did Good Will Hunting, had Matt Damon in it. And this movie was going to have Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's brother, Casey Affleck, who at that time, I never heard of Casey Affleck, but it's like, okay, it's an Affleck. It must be okay. It's going to be like Good Will Hunting, something like that. And the movie turned out to be a single-word, single-name movie named Jerry. And they screened this movie probably to hundreds of college students prior to its initial release. Now, look, we were all pretty excited about this. I remember going out to dinner, having some wine before this, like enjoying life and yucking it up with friends on a college trip and getting to experience a city I had never been to. So here we are, and we're enjoying life, and then we're going off to a movie at night, and it's a pre-release screening with famous people in it, and this is going to be a rollicking good time. And then Jerry starts, and it goes, and it goes, and I can't believe what I'm seeing, both on screen, but even better were the reactions of all these students, hundreds of students, to the movie Jerry at that time. Now, if you haven't seen Jerry, it has a shockingly high rating. I mean, my memory of it is very bad, but I haven't seen it since then, so maybe it's better than I remember. 6.0 on IMDb. Okay, that's not great, but it's not like one of the worst movies ever. And it's got a 3.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which I gotta tell you, I can't fathom that. I wish I could show Jerry to every person I know, and I'm almost dead sure the rating would be like 1 star or less, just because of the entertainment factor of Jerry. So if you haven't seen it, Jerry is about, as far as I remember, I'm just going by memory here. Matt Damon and Casey Affleck crash in a desert. Their car is, there's some kind of problem with it. They're in the desert Southwest, I think, and then they have to wander around on foot. And they get lost. And they got to find their way home. And one of them has a problem. But they wander around, and they wander around, and they wander around some more, and they keep wandering. And that's the entire movie. There are long stretches in this movie, and I dare say they're minutes long. My memory could be wrong, but minutes long. Maybe hours long, in which you just watch Matt Damon and Casey Affleck walk across a desert. This doesn't stop. And look, we were college students back then. It was 2001, 2, 3. I come out of a time frame where we're watching The Rock, The Matrix, Con Air, all the Matt Damon stuff. I don't know if Save It Private Ryan had come out, but Matt Damon was like a hot new actor. I think we knew who he was. Talented Mr. Ripley. A bunch of movies like that. And to watch Matt Damon just walk around a screen for an hour and a half, 2 hours doing nothing, saying barely anything. There's no action in this movie. What the hell is going on here? And I've never seen an audience react to the movie like this. There were catcalls. There were, I would think, and I could be exaggerating, it's probably likely that I'm exaggerating, half the students walked out of this thing. Easily. Half the students. Certainly a steady stream was going down the aisles as this thing went on. Half an hour into it, 45 minutes into it, an hour. You were talking students who were, 20 years old, 18, 20, 22. Like, how are they going to tolerate a movie like this? I honestly can't imagine. It takes a very special person and a very special mindset. And maybe your brain has to be developed to understand it. Maybe you've got to be into art objects or very, very, very slow cinema or love Gus Van Sant. This was not true of this audience at all. And everybody, as far as I remember, was staring at it, drooling. And we come out of this movie, and I remember many people going, this was the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. I've seen way worse, I think, that are trying to be great, but are so terrible. You couldn't even, if you tried to make a terrible movie, you couldn't be as terrible as they are. I mean, The Room is a great example of that. It's kind of unbeatable in its ability to be absolutely horrible. And if you tried to make The Room, you'd make a better version of it, even if you were trying hard to make a terrible movie. Now, that's my worst movie experience ever in terms of watching the age, the mismatch between the movie and the audience, how the audience reacted. I can't remember anything quite like that. Tree of Life is close, but I loved Tree of Life. My wife loved it when we watched it in the theater. So it was a different experience, even though a lot of people didn't like it when we were watching Tree of Life when it came out in the theater. But it seemed to me, and my memory is that Jerry was universally hated by that audience. Like, no one came out and was trying to defend it. I don't remember anybody going, yeah, that had some very interesting shots or soundscapes. Like, nobody said anything like that. So maybe I should give Jerry another shot. Maybe I should try it out. Maybe I should, test it out on my own college students, put it in my college course. Do you dare me to do this? And have you seen Jerry? I know there's a couple people in my Discord who actually like Jerry. They've said good things about it. And takes a weird and interesting person to probably like this movie. What do you think about Jerry? But again, what's your worst movie experience? I'm almost tempted to run a contest in the comments to see how bad they get. And of course, maybe they're fake. You'll make up fake stories. But I want to hear real stories from real people about terrible movie experiences. I'd love to read them. Put them in the comments. Thanks for participating. Check out my rest of my channel for actually more great content about great movies. And subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.